Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Show right here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting YouTube channel. And once again, I'm Ross Benjamin, by the way, and I am joined by Jesse Schule and Sean Higgs, all three of us sports betting experts over at gamblersworld.net, our sponsor site. And at gamblersworld.net right now, not only with us three, but the other 7 great handicappers there, you can get a Sweet 16 special right now for $149. Take advantage of that, folks. Still 15 games to be played in the NCAA tournament. And then next week, we're going to see the semifinals in the NIT and a final in the NIT. So possible 18 games in all for just a $149 price tag. And you get our personal guarantee that if you don't win, you don't make a profit, we will credit back your account the exact amount that you spent on your specific purchase. All right. So here we go. We're talking NCAA tournament on Friday's action. And Sean Higgs is going to tell us how he's doing of late. And every other Sean, we're going to start getting a segment with Sean. It's called the problem of the day, because I wish you guys could listen to our off-air conversations. And the problem of the day is Sean's segment. What's the problem of the day today, Sean?
There's no problem today. We're just talking about guys or something. There was no problem. Listen, if the folks, we get a lot of the comments in the live show. They've seen my live shows. They know I could go on and rant about crazy things. I used to have like a rant of the day. I just used to go for like a 5-minute of whatever was annoying me. I saw somebody, he comes into the chat sometimes, he's saying, I got another, he used the term lock, and I haven't lost a minus 900 money line fave yet. And I want to respond so bad. And if he's watching, he might comment after the fact of this. That's the kind of stuff I go on rants about.
Yeah.
We could talk about my polo shirts or my khaki pants like we were doing off air. My little wardrobe action. It's okay. I don't mind. Well, listen, real fast. So baseball tomorrow. I got a couple packages up for baseball tomorrow. I got some NCAA stuff up for Thursday, Friday. There's that. Let's go. It's baseball. Tournament's wrapping up. Really, what do we have? Like 12 basketball games left? How many altogether between the
15 NCAA tournament games if you were listening, and you talk very well, but you don't listen real well. We'll get to that.
Yeah, but you just we're working on tournament games. You're not counting the NIT or the CBI or the CIT.
The NCAA tournament, 15 games.
Yeah, Ross. Yeah.
Okay. The NIT, another 3 games. Well, actually, if you're counting today, because we are recording on Wednesday the 26th, there's 5 NIT games left. I believe the CIT final is tonight, and I believe I'm not sure with the CBI. I really have not paid attention to those 2 tournaments. I haven't found that I could find any value in those tournaments, and you got a bunch of teams with losing records playing in the CIT. I just have no interest. So somewhere, I don't know, Sean, minimum 18, possibly up to 20 games left. Now that you let me finish that statement, I think I'm pretty accurate there. Anyway, Jesse, before he starts talking again, let me ask you how you're doing, because you never know.
Well, Ross, you're a hockey fan, so you're probably familiar with the term kiss my sister. Yeah. I guess I kissed my sister last night, and I guess you know what that means.
It's a tie.
It's 1-1, so
yes,
could be worse.
Yeah. Well, that's on the heels of going 3-0 on, I believe, Sunday. I don't know how you did on Monday, but
just one play and it was a winner. So
okay, so you're 5-1 in the last 3 days. What's the matter with that?
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
That's the arrow's pointing north. So I went 2-0 yesterday. I had 2 NBA winners. I had the Sacramento Kings and Dallas Mavericks games to go under the total. That cashed in. I also had the Golden State Warriors last night on the road and to beat Miami. They were laying 2.5, and that line should have stood out to everybody if you've been following Think Like a Bookmaker, especially with Jimmy Butler out of the lineup. That's the reason why mainly that line was where it is. And Golden State playing good ball right now. Again, I watched the Lakers last night, Sean, purposely, because of the statements you guys were making yesterday and paid more attention. But, you know, they came back from a big deficit yesterday, Jesse. They were down 19. And I believe you had Milwaukee. So you won your first half play on the show yesterday with Milwaukee, but Milwaukee did not cover the game. And so you look brilliant for that. But in any event, I did not see the reason why they were able to overcome that deficit last night. I believe they earned that. I really do. And I'm not making light of what you guys said yesterday, because numbers don't lie and liars don't figure, right? And you guys
you got to know that the first thing I did when I woke up this morning was check the free throw attempts for both teams.
32 to 17.
Yeah, and I mean, coming off of a game where the coach risks a fine by complaining about it, the entire media landscape is buzzing about it, except for the media that's paid off by Clutch Sports. But the rest of the media that actually talks about sports is talking about the free throw. I mean, at the end of the day, the Bucks are the second best team in drawing free throws. So people want to say, well, the Lakers are just really good at drawing fouls. Well, the Bucks are the second best team in the NBA, and to get that kind of a disparity
on the road,
and the Lakers never commit any fouls. I mean, they never fouled anybody in their lives. So
again, LeBron James didn't play last night, by the way, guys. So we can't use that for an excuse. But like Sean said yesterday, when you got two perimeter shooters getting a combined 21 free throws like they did not last night, but the game before that. At the end of the day, I watched the fourth quarter and the two overtimes. Okay, so keep in mind that game went two overtimes as well when we're talking about 32 free throws. But in the fourth quarter and the two overtimes that I witnessed where they made that comeback and eventually pulled out a win in double overtime, I didn't see the where it was a parade to the free throw line during that period of time. Is all I'm trying to say. Now, yeah, it's a concern. You know, again, you're bringing up a 32 to 17 disparity without LeBron James in the lineup. But
and a lot of the blame has to go to the Milwaukee Bucks as well, because regardless of that, a home game, LeBron's out, you got a 20-point lead. You shouldn't be losing that game, and you shouldn't, and you can't really make excuses for them. So, but the reason I bring it up is because I was pretty confident that we wouldn't see that disparity after the league got criticized for the third time this season in a high-profile situation. You'd think they'd want to keep it somewhere closer to even, and I was surprised to see it. It's almost like
and I'm pretty good with my eye test for the most part. You know, again, there's some things that aren't black and white and are left for opinion in a gray area. But what I witnessed last night in that fourth quarter and two overtimes was nothing out of the ordinary that I saw, where the Lakers, when they did get to the free throw line, wasn't earned. And when they were not calling fouls on the Lakers, I didn't witness that. But again, like, Sean, like Jesse brought up yesterday, and you pointed out as well, it's not like you guys are coming up with this sentiment because you don't like the Lakers. It's the numbers verify that. So any thoughts? And then we'll move on to our games.
Sean,
I'm going to say that. Let me just say real fast. I think, conspiracy theory or not, I think the league pushes for the Lakers to get into the playoffs. They expanded. They made a play-in game for the Lakers specifically. They made an in-season tournament game basically for the Lakers. I mean, come on. They need the Lakers. And most teams, listen, most leagues are going to favor a superstar and give kind of benefit of doubt to things. We've seen this. I get it. But this is, I mean, come on with this nonsense.
They've been saying in boxing for years, if you want to beat the champ, you got to knock him out. And what are they referring to? You're not going to beat him on the scorecard because he's going to get the benefit of the doubt, and you're not. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just boxing, right? We all know the expression.
It's just the human element, that comes into play in terms of perception. You're right, Jesse. I mean, let me ask you, and then we'll move on to our games. Is it the market, the LA market? Is it specifically the franchise that's well branded, or a combination of both where you guys feel like that's occurring?
Jesse? Certainly the big market, and which is why we saw, and you're not going to like this, Ross, but Sean's going to like it a lot, back in the early 2000s when the Sacramento Kings and the Lakers played that 7-game series, and it was pretty much rigged in favor of the Lakers because they wanted the bigger market team to advance. And that was before LeBron James. However, I think it's a combination of the bigger market and elevating LeBron James as the GOAT candidate because I think there's more money for the NBA. I don't think there's any money in it for the NBA to say, hey, Jordan was the GOAT. That was 20 years ago. If you didn't see it, you missed it. You might as well not even watch, right? They can't tell people that. They got to tell them, no, this new guy, he's the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
As soon as LeBron retires, nobody's going to be even talking anything about that.
I mean, again, my comeback to that was going to be if it's the market, the Clippers also play in that market. If it's the market, the Knicks are a pretty big market in New York, and they went for years without making the postseason. But I think the combination of the market, the branding, and the superstar, LeBron James is ultimately what it comes down to. If indeed that's true, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, folks, I am just commenting on my two cohorts here who are entitled to their opinion. Sean, any final thoughts, and then we'll move on.
I'm old enough to remember the Knicks with the folded cold envelope getting Patrick Ewing to get New York on the map for a decade.
And by the way, that series, the Lakers won Game 7 in Sacramento. So that was a hell of a series.
That was a great. I mean, listen, Shaq and Kobe are great, but that Vladdy, Jason Williams, that was a good team. I mean, Sacramento, Weber was on that squad. I mean, they were two really good teams.
Yep. All right, let's get her going. All right, let's start with the Friday matchup in the NCAA tournament with Sean's game, and that's Gonzaga and Purdue. And Purdue right now is a 5.5-point favorite. The total is 154.5. We've been talking about these two teams pretty much all season, guys. And Gonzaga, we all were on board with saying, at the beginning of the year in the first half of the season, this doesn't look like their prototypical Gonzaga team. Even down the final stretch of the regular season, they were on the proverbial bubble. They go on a hot streak. They lose to St. Mary's in the WCC final, but still end up with a number 5 seed. And here they are in their 9th straight Sweet 16. Purdue has been up in the top 4 all season long. Yet for a team that's rated so highly, they seem to get a lot of criticism. And so this is an intriguing matchup, Sean. Where are you going with this?
Yeah, 9 straight from our few. Great job. And Gonzaga, I think we think Gonzaga out of the mid-major kind of category when you do a kind of run like that. That is better than a lot of teams. And red hot. And I was one of those people thinking, no, thank you, Gonzaga. I had St. Mary's in this chat to beat them at home, and then Gonzaga beat them. I said, no. I think Gonzaga kind of owns them now, St. Mary's, and then St. Mary's comes back. I'm like, all right, maybe we're right about Gonzaga all year. 11-2 run with the 2 losses to Mary, 16-3. We throw a 1-point loss against Santa Clara. But I'll be honest, I take a Purdue. And I'm the one saying, no, Purdue will choke against either Kansas or Gonzaga. Like, that's where the pressure is going to come in, and the nightmares of Christmas past come, and it's a I'm going to throw an extra pass, or I'm going to dribble off my leg, or hesitate to do a shot, and we feel the pressure now. I don't think so. Just going over this Purdue team, I will lay the 5.5. They've beaten half of the teams in the Sweet 16. They beat Gonzaga, Tennessee. I mean, Alabama, Arizona, Illinois twice. I mean, they've beaten everybody. Like, they have 4 losses. 2 of them are in overtime. And you got a couple losses on the road. Again, on the road in conference play. We're gonna hold that against them when every other team has lost multiple games. I mean, Houston lost all 3 of their games on the road in conference play. But then it's just going to come in. Well, they lose as a big fave, as a 1 seed, as a 2. You know what? I don't know. As much as they're down, I'm going against what people think. I'm taking Purdue here. I already got them. In fact, this is, I think, the late game. Buy my early game package because this is a premium play on the site. I mean, I love this game. Unload on it. We're going to go Vegas Dave style. I think Purdue.
It's a lock.
I've switched my entire thought on Purdue on it. Really, because I'm like, no, I got to take Gonzaga just on Purdue's going to choke in a close game. I don't think so. I think they haven't choked against good competition. They're not doing it. I'm a Boilermaker fan now. Let's go Gene Katie, Glenn Robinson, Big Dog, old school. Let's go. Quanzo Martin.
All right. So, I just think this, again, with all things considered, I thought it was a heavy line, and it jumped out to me. And when I say a heavy line, I thought maybe Purdue would be around 3.5 or 4, and they're 5.5 right now. Of course, the line did move a little bit from the opener.
I left that Marquette they beat as well. I'm sorry. I left that Marquette.
What's that?
I left that Marquette when I was running down the half of the field they beat. I left that Marquette.
Yeah. And again, and we're going to talk about Marquette right now, as a matter of fact. So Sean likes Purdue minus 5.5 over Gonzaga. But before we get to that Marquette North Carolina State game that Jesse's going to cover, let's get Jesse's thoughts on this matchup between Purdue and Gonzaga.
So I watched Purdue beat Utah State, and surely they were quite impressive, but that was like a de facto home game in Indianapolis. The crowd was cheering like crazy, and Utah State got into foul trouble early. Things spiraled out of control. Everything went perfect for Purdue in that game. They scored over 100 points. I didn't have Purdue winning this region. I had Kansas getting there, but of course with the Kevin McCullough news after we picked our brackets, that threw a loop in that. I agree with you guys that Purdue looks like the better team. I'm not going to take a side, though. I think the under is the better play because I look at the way that Purdue manhandled and had their way with Utah State. I think it will be a little bit tougher for them here against Gonzaga. I don't think they're going to get every look that they want and shoot for the same kind of percentage they did against Utah State. It is a big number. So I'm going to lean toward the under rather than the side. And one more comment on this matchup. I just find it interesting how you got Purdue and Tennessee in similar situations, in my opinion, both high seeds, both conference champs in the regular season, and both have a history of failure in the NCAA tournament. And it seems like people are willing to move past it for Purdue, but not for Tennessee.
Yeah, well, I think Zach Edey might be the difference there. Why that scenario that you just mentioned is what it is.
Dalton Connect's pretty good as well, though.
Yeah, but I mean, Edey's dominant. I mean, there's the bottom line. The guy's coming off of 30 and 20. You know, in college basketball, that's an incredible game. And at the end of the day, it's the kid from Tennessee is very good. No two ways about it. Great player, a lot more diversified, no doubt about it. But Edey's, you know, he's the type of guy, if he doesn't get in foul trouble, he dominates games. And that's going to, you know, at the very worst, keep you into games right to the bitter end. So we'll see. It's just my opinion, Jesse, but it's a valid point that you've just brought up. And let's get to your game, Jesse. NC State and Marquette. This is real interesting to me because Marquette is a healthy 6.5 point favorite, total 151. I got Marquette when we did our NCAA tournament show. I got Marquette advancing all the way to the final. I just thought this team, they got to the Big East final. We know how good the Big East now is, at least the top half of the Big East is, because all three teams that were invited to the tournament or qualified for the tournament are still alive in a Sweet 16, and all three of them are legitimate contenders to get to the Final Four. However, you know, I also thought that people were losing sight of the fact that the kid Kolek, their point guard, they got to the final of the Big East without him. And with him coming back, I just think that Marquette is a very dangerous out, but this is a big line, 6.5. And I mentioned the other day on the show, and I'll mention it again, we had 8 double-digit seeds advance to the round of 32. Only one made it to Sweet 16, and that is NC State. And they've been on quite a roll, Jesse. 5 wins in the ACC tournament, 2 wins in the NCAA tournament. What do you got on this matchup for us?
Well, Ross, I don't want to bet on teams like NC State playing the 5 games in 5 days, teams that shouldn't be in here in the first place. They got to win their conference tournament. You know, they're going up against teams that should be the better team, but they're hot. And if you're betting on teams like that, it feels a lot to me like what Sean says, with poop in one hand and hope in the other. But, you know, I break down this matchup. I feel like Marquette's the better team, but when I really dig into the numbers, Marquette looked really impressive in the first half against Colorado. Then they almost blew it at the end of the game. You look at the statistics, Marquette's not very good at free throws. I mean, 70.7%, that's slightly below average for teams that have advanced this far in the tournament. NC State's better, 73.6%. Even three-point shooting, you think of Marquette as a high-flying offensive juggernaut. Their three-point shooting is only 36%, which is in that average category, not that far above NC State. But where they really get hammered is in rebounding. They rank 10th in the Big East in rebounds per game. They're a minus 12 in rebound differential in the tournament in their 2 games, whereas NC State is a plus 12. NC State should own the boards. They're a little bit better at the free throw line. 6.5 just looks like too many points to me, so I'm going to have to take the dog plus the points.
All right, NC State plus the 6.5 over Marquette on Friday in the NCAA tournament. Sean, DJ Burns, you have to love a guy like that. I mean, he's built like you. He's got that soft touch around the rim, a lot more nimble than people give him credit for, talking about the NC State center. And this NC State team, the last time a team won 5 games in 5 days, like I said yesterday, was UConn in a Big East tournament years ago, and they ended up winning the tournament, winning the NCAA tournament. I don't see it this year, but we're not talking about picking a tournament winner here. We're talking about a 6.5 point spread on a team that's just has been rolling. Is that too much to give NC State? Or are you going to go with the team that's been the consistent brand all year in Marquette?
I gave out NC State and the over in the midday money show. So I'm on NC State just based on, you mentioned the big guy, but even just their balanced scoring. Like the last couple of games, they had a different leading scorer. That tells me that other guys are going to step up. And, you hate to use the term like house money, but they're rolling right now. They got to feel pretty good. And as good as Marquette is, they're going to give up 70-something points here. And if that's the case, I'm going to be in this game to win it, not only cover it, but probably have a shot at winning this one outright. So I'm with Jesse on Marquette here. And I had them get knocked out in the first game. I'm like, nope, I'll fade them off that big NC North Carolina win. They had beaten Duke. They're probably way too full of themselves. Well, they almost got picked up. They Oakland almost had it. They went to overtime. You're thinking, oh, here comes – you're going to get picked off. It happens. But, they battled through that. Easily could have folded there. I think they beat Marquette. I want to say Marquette gets beat out right here. State money line perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't shock me because they've been running hot, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But 6.5 seems like a big number. I don't know what I'm going to do with this game yet. It's still 48 hours away. So
they've won what, 7 in a row now, NC State?
Yeah, they won 5 in the ACC tournament and 2 here.
So they had 17 wins. Now they were 17-14.
They were 17-14 going into the ACC tournament. They were not, even if they lost that ACC title game, they were not going to get an at-large bid. That was, the committee even came out and said that. So because we had like 3 or 4 teams from major conferences that stole bids, that made a run in at the end. So in any event, our picks is Marquette from Jesse, or Marquette minus 6.5 over NC State from Jesse.
No, NC State. He's got NC State.
NC State. I'm sorry, NC State plus 6.5 over Marquette, and Sean likes Purdue minus 5.5 over Gonzaga, and Jesse agrees with that pick as well. And he also says he has a lean toward the under 154.5 in that game.
No surprise there.
Yeah, well, you went over on a game yesterday, and you went over on a game last week, so it's not like you're married to the under, So, I know you're an under player, but on occasion when you see value in an over, it's not like you're hesitant to do it. Anyway, let me look at my game. That's Duke and Houston. Right now, Houston a 4-point favorite to total 134. I just think that Duke matches up extremely well with this Houston team, and I think they'll take advantage of the many opportunities they'll get at the free throw line on Friday, and I think they'll get a plethora of second chance opportunities. And I'm not making that because that's what I think. I'm looking at the analytics involved, and again, I mentioned this with Houston and Grand Canyon when I previewed that game last week. This is a Houston team that is number 327 in the country out of 362 Division I teams in free throws allowed. And they were very fortunate to escape with an overtime win against Texas A&M. They allowed Texas A&M to get to the free throw line 45 times. And A&M bailed them out by missing 15 free throws in that game. They also are number 273 in defensive rebounds. Now, here's the thing. Houston is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country and has been since Kelvin Sampson got there. They're just they're very, very good and adept at second chance opportunities and wearing teams down. But on the defensive end, it's been another story, and they got exposed again in that Texas A&M game. Now, granted, Texas A&M was the number one offensive rebounding team in the country, but they allowed 26 offensive rebounds in that game. And here they are. They hold Texas A&M to around 40% shooting, and they had to go to overtime to win the game. And a lot of it had to do with how many free throws they allowed, because even though Texas A&M missed 15 free throws, they still made 30. And when you get 26 offensive rebounds, you are playing defense on multiple possessions, and that could wear you down. Duke is number 13 in the nation in three-point shooting, 38.1%. And like my friend Sean Higgs likes to say, it's a great equalizer in college basketball for an underdog. When you have the ability to hit three-point shots at a high rate, it will keep you in a lot of games and sometimes even win games. Houston, number 3 in turnovers forced. That's been their forte and has been since Kelvin Sampson's been there. No different this year. But here's the thing. Duke's number 23 in the nation in turnovers committed. So the Blue Devils are very good at protecting the basketball. I'm not going to say that they're not going to turn the ball over more times than their season average, possibly. But I will say that Houston is not going to get a plethora of opportunities in transition because they're forcing 15 turnovers. I just don't see that happening with Duke in a big game. Again, Duke 26-8. 7 of their 8 losses have been by 5 points or fewer. And the other one was by 9 at North Carolina, who's right now a number 1 seed in the tournament. And again, I just think, to me, you look at the Big 12 final again, and you saw Houston get beat 69-41 against Iowa State. You saw them get stretched to overtime against Texas A&M. This is a very beatable team. And I'm going to take the points here. I'm not going to call for the outright upset, although at getting 4, it would not shock me. If I'm going to take Duke, I better believe they have an excellent opportunity to win the game outright. But I'm not going to agree to your Sean. I'm going to take Duke plus the 4 against Houston.
I was just looking because you're saying like the Houston defense. They are on an 11-3 holding the last 14 games. 11 of those under 70 points.
Yeah.
And the 3 that they've gone over 70, they won all those games. The 195 game, there's a 82-76 game, a 76-72 game. I think this team plays defense. And the fact that they came back and won that game the way they did shows me they got a little more heart than what I've seen out of them. Here's another team with just 3 losses. Again, 2 on the road and back-to-back spots early January, and then they lost an ugly one in the Big 12. But that was a spot kind of like, you know what? Are you going to go into winning, 27 in a row or some ridiculous kind of number? You almost kind of chalk it up like, we're behind. Let's just get out of here without anybody getting hurt. We have a history of guys tearing up a knee or some nonsense in the tournament. So let's try to get here healthy. I don't know, man. I think Houston – I think defensively they're going to get on these guys. I like the under here as well. I mean, I'm not on Duke, but how about it? I like an under. I think this will be Houston plays those wacky games. Would you be shocked if this is like 76-55? I won't be shocked.
I mean, it's 134 is actually a high number for Houston if you look at their totals throughout the course of the season. I mean, when they hold teams under 7, they held Iowa State to 69, but they lost by 28. Yeah. Texas A&M, the game went overtime, but Texas, I believe that was 86-86 at the end of regulation.
That was a crazy game.
So I just see what's going on lately with them. They're a great defensive team, Sean. There's no 2 ways about it. Kelvin Sampson's done a remarkable job there. But we talk about teams not being able to win the big game. As good as Houston's been the last couple of years, they haven't won it all. Okay, so he's still got that stigma attached to his time there at Houston.
Last year, Miami got him last year. The year before that, they had like an injury. They were a good team.
Yeah.
The year before that, I think they had another injury where they were supposed to be a Final Four kind of team. I don't know. I'm maybe because they're in my backyard, and I get a lot of Houston news and stuff. But
Duke really, again, they caught a break with James Madison pulling an upset over Wisconsin in the round of 64. But then who would have thought that Duke was going to come out and just blow the doors off of James Madison, who's been a good team all year long, and beat two big teams, the Big Ten teams this year. But Jesse, again, I'm interested to hear your thoughts as well, because Houston's a great defensive team. There's no two ways about it. But to me, when you give up as many offensive rebounds as Houston does and foul as much as they do, I guess the aggressiveness creates a lot of those fouls, and you have to live with it. It's almost like a knockout artist taking one to give one kind of thing, because he thinks that his punch is eventually going to be a lot harder than yours in the following trade. So what's your thoughts, Jesse?
Well, when we did our preview show, I had Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, and UConn going to the Final Four. So when I picked Duke to go to the Final Four, I knew they had to go through Houston one way or the other. I think they match up okay against Houston. We've seen Houston have the clunkers. You'd have to think the pressure's on Houston to perform here, whereas Duke, I think Duke's. It sounds funny to say Duke's playing with house money, but I don't think this particular Duke squad has that high of expectations. They've got a relatively new coach, and the guys that are going to the NBA are going to this isn't going to make it or break it for them. I think Duke's in a lot more comfortable spot. So I like Duke as the side, and I do like the under that Sean was talking about, because we didn't talk a lot about Duke's defense, but Duke can play defense as well. And I think both these teams are going to try and grit out an ugly kind of stinker of a game.
So good stuff, guys. Go ahead,
I was going to say, Russ, real fast. Like with this total, you don't think somebody scores 70, with the 134. Like at that point, you're thinking you'll get maybe 70 for one team, maybe, if and that's going to be a blowout if somebody gets 70, because for it to stay under, nobody could get more than 64.
I don't know. And then people will go back and say, well, look at the A&M game with Houston. Sean is a comeback to you. But let me remind everybody, Texas A&M is as red hot as they were offensively down the final stretch of the season. They don't play any defense, and that's not the case with Duke. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Our official pick here. Our official pick here is on Duke +4 against Houston. And then Jesse likes North Carolina State +6.5 over Marquette. And Sean likes Purdue -5.5 over Gonzaga. So there you have it. Those games all go on Friday. And again, we're recording on Wednesday, folks. So depending on when you view the video, these lines are subject to change. So keep that in mind. And one guy commented yesterday on our video. He says, you guys got to stop acting like you're experts. So, okay. We'll stop acting like we're experts when you stop acting like you're an idiot, buddy. Okay. My response. Anyway, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please take a second to do so. Just click on that black subscribe button, or if you're watching on your PC, just simply hit the WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It's absolutely free. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. And then take one step further. If you're new, or if you have subscribed and you haven't done this already, I would highly suggest you go into your YouTube settings and take on maybe 15 minutes or 15 seconds, excuse me, not 15 minutes, and click on that alert notification bell for the Winner Circle Sports Betting channel, and you'll be notified immediately on any of our 5 and 6 podcasts going up on a basis. Sean or Jesse, there's a like button right underneath. What would you like everybody to do with that like button?
Smash that like button.
Doesn't have to be that emphatic, but if you choose to do so, we hope we got you that excited that you will. And it's just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put in to bringing you a quality podcast each and every day, and also to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. Jesse will be back with me on Friday. Sean won't be back until next week. He has a personal engagement on Friday. He won't be able to join us on the live show, but Doug Upstone will. I will be back tomorrow with Chip Jaribas. You're making a comeback, and we're going to talk NBA with Chip tomorrow. And then we're also going to do a separate show for Major League Baseball opening day with Doug Upstone. So a lot of good things coming up right here on our network. For Jesse Schule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, I'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Take care and God bless, folks.